are entering E&C's Pod of Awesomeness.
Yep, again I did it, Jay. Again I waited. Every week.
I thought this was the
every
routine
week.
Now.
Is this the deal now?
I'm just giving it to you.
You just sit there in silence.
Well, here's the thing.
Let me take it and then complain about it.
I haven't complained the last couple of weeks. What I figured is now the listeners are used to how we do this. You know, you do the quick, here we are, and then they wait to hear. They wait. The anticipation builds to hear me talk, and that
or
seems to
is
grab
it
them.
that they hear my velvety tones from the get-go? It eases them. It settles them down into their easy chairs or in their seat in their car, and while they're stuck in traffic and they're about to road rage, and then they hear this melodious tone, and then they just okay. Because if we hit them with your little nasally, little pipsqueak voice there right from the get-go, it could cause a lot more road rage and
I don't know what you're talking about.
and things of that nature. Although I can't talk, my allergies are kicking today, and I sound like you.
You sound like more of an idiot than normal. Congratulations.
Hey,
there you have it.
Hey.
So what's going on? What are you doing?
I just came back from Lyric, my oldest daughter's, my 3-year-old daughter's recital,
right,
where she sang "I'm a Nut." And it was spectacular. She did amazing, of course, but I'm her dad. Of course I think that. But she danced and she sang. She had her little pigtails, and she's got, kind of wavy long hair like I do. And thankfully looks more like Beth, though. So there's that positive. She doesn't have a forehead that you can watch a movie on. So she's lucky in that respect. Yeah, it was awesome.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay. Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about, especially when you're about to become a parent, right? You hear about the terrible twos. I thought the twos were great. The threes, on the other hand.
The threes, man.
Ooh.
The three-age years.
That's a whole different level. We're talking here. Like, 2 was fine, and I kept saying to myself, I don't know what people are talking about these terrible twos. I don't see it. But my daughter has got, sometimes she's just figuring out that she's her own person now, right? So she just everything is no. Do you want to do this? Nope. Do you want to do this? Nope. And I'll just ask her random things like, do you want to go for a walk? Nope. Do you want to go pet the cats? Nope. Do you want $1 million? Nope. And then she just starts singing, nope. And then she turned into a song. She goes, nope. No, 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 no. She sings no. And then it's just like the other day, she just randomly walked out of her room screaming at the top of her lungs. And my wife and I both turn and look at her, and she's screaming, staring at us. All of a sudden she stops, sees how we're going to react. And we're just kind of staring at her like, what was that? She turns around and goes back in her playroom.
Yeah, they're pushing their boundaries. They're figuring out now that okay, I can go this far before I'll push them to the brink of absolute mental and emotional collapse. The old Calgon commercial, Calgon take me away. There's so many times we're going to the grocery store, whatever it is. You caught me on one yesterday, as a matter of fact. I was trying to load Ruby, and then Lyric's doing her thing, and I'm trying to get everything, and I just went, oh my God.
Yeah.
What is happening right now? Can someone please help me?
Yeah.
Just help my soul, because they're devouring it right now.
Right. And then there's those times where man, is this your head's about to explode, right? And then then at the end of the day, what happens? I go in, I take her to bed. She's in her big girl bed now, right? So I lay down with her on her bed, I read her a couple stories, and next thing you know, she's telling her little jokes, and she's laughing her head off, and then I roll over to look at her, and she grabs my mouth, and when you do that, you pull your mouth apart and you stick your tongue out and do I was born on a pirate ship type deal,
Yeah.
So she pulls my mouth apart, and she must saw another kid do it, and she goes, Daddy, and I was like, what? And then she starts laughing because I'm making these funny faces and noise, and then she's pushing my face together, and she's squishing my nose, and she's just laughing so hard, and just as everything else, it's just, those are the moments where it's man, this is the, outweighs anything that she could have done, the screaming or whatever. This is the coolest stuff ever, and just got to soak it all in, because it's not going to last forever.
Well, Jay, I was born in the galley of a pirate ship, I'll have you know.
Really?
Yeah. You didn't know that.
Is that why you wear those rubbery boots?
Yep, I've been collecting booty since day one. That's off the top of my head, I swear to you. But yeah, and it wasn't a good joke, so it's not like that's saying something. But so last night, as a matter of fact, Lyric called me, and she'd already gone to bed and everything. I'm watching hockey, and I'm engrossed in the game and everything. And unlike you, though, I won't blame the failing of an entire franchise on being moved from the position by being called by my daughter. Yeah, so I went in, and she goes, "Dad, will you snuggle with me?" And it's like, yes, yeah. So we snuggle in, and then I know I've told you this before, but she always says to me, "Dad, I hate it when you go to work. I miss you so much, and I'm afraid for you." And I was like, well, why, honey? Why are you afraid? She said, well, no, I'm worried for you at work unless you're with Uncle Jay. And then it's okay.
Smart
And
kid.
I
She
have
knows
no
I'm your
idea.
protector.
Yeah. And I knew that would blow your ego up, and that would be exactly where you took it.
I'm hitting a
But
double
for
bicep
whatever
right now,
reason,
whatever.
going to work with Uncle Jay while he hits his double by that's okay.
That's okay.
Yeah.
She knows you're in safe hands. Then I'm gonna get you back home in one piece. So,
Yeah. Anybody threatens us, you'll find your range. Talk to Tito Ortiz and tell him that you should be light heavyweight champion, and
DC
Daniel
last week.
Cormier, and yeah.
I'm a dangerous man. I'm a dangerous man. So, what else you got on the docket?
So that's been my week so far. However, for our show here that we're currently recording for folks,
Yes.
it's a big week.
It is
It's a big week.
Huge.
Big
guest.
get. My get. Completely my get again. Although DC was yours. This was my get.
Normally, I would argue on this, but I'm going to tell.
No.
I mean, because let's be honest, Kane, Glenn, I don't want to say, like you said on Twitter, that he hates me, and I think that's a pretty strong word. I think he has sort of like can you say eschew about a person? Like he kind of has a disdain.
Eschew?
Like eschew. ESCHEW? Is that like a
Askew?
eschew? Whatever, dude. You know what I mean?
What are you trying to say, man?
You know what I mean?
He
I'm too
kind of
smart.
doesn't like you, is what you're trying to say.
Yes, that's basically what I'm saying. So, so we'll get to the
But hate
bottom
is
of
a
that.
strong word. I'm sorry.
It is a strong word.
Yeah.
I don't know if he hates me as much as he just maybe dislikes me. But we're going to find out.
We are.
See if I can
He
make
doesn't
it
do
better.
many podcasts.
No.
So this was very exciting to be able
like I said.
to get him. And he's running for mayor of Knox County in Tennessee next year.
Yeah.
And if you want all the information on that, you can follow him at Glenn Jacobs TN.
Yeah.
And that's obviously for Tennessee, for those that don't know their state abbreviations. And at Kane WWE. I don't know how often he uses that one, though.
No. It's surprising how well we get along with him, considering that he tried to light us all on fire one time. Remember?
Yeah,
When we
there
were
was that.
Brood. And we did this deal where we jumped him, and he ended up like piling us all up, and he actually dumped gasoline on us and was going to light us on fire in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's what friends do, right?
Yeah.
And
We're
what do you
over
mean
past
when
it.
we were the Brood? I'm forever the Brood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm living the gimmick, brother. I'm actually in a...
You're hanging upside down doing this?
I am. I'm in a vampire coven. Although I think vampires don't live in covens, do they?
No.
I don't know. I'm not up on my vampire lore lately.
Not so much. Hey, a question for you. Do you want to, should we check in and like maybe let people know what some of these names are that they, for the latest contest that we had announced last week on the voicemail, the email, and the Twitter, if people want to send in their ideas for a nickname for our fan base, and the winner will come on the show on May 26th. Does that blow your hair back?
Well, I mean, that's a... Are you now asking me, was that the end of your little diatribe that you were going to regurgitate there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea.
Cool.
And I think we could go down our short list of some of the ones that
Stood out.
we both
I
like.
mean, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
These are just kind of ones that kind of stood out, right? And
Yeah.
I mean, people are always going to go Peeps and rated R, Edgehead type things. So there's the, rated R Peep stars.
There's the Reaps.
The Reaps.
Yep.
I kind of like the 5
Peeps,
second
which-
posers. 5 second posers make sense.
I like that. There's also the 5 second posse, which I thought was interesting.
That's pretty cool. I don't know why I
Interesting
like this
little
one,
take.
but I really like this one. The Podcastronauts. I just think
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I know. Kind of stuck out. Yeah.
I like that one.
The edgy Christians was, you know, if you're an angry Christian, I guess.
I see the Kazoo Club with a K. Kind of reminds me of like a culture club type thing. So I don't know.
Yeah. So you don't like Culture Club?
No, I did like Culture Club actually.
Did ya?
Come a chameleon. You come and go. You come.
The harmonica in the back.
Go. Love was easy.
Nothing could be loving your golden dreams, your golden dreams.
It's actually Red Golden Dreams, but whatever.
Oh, see, if it got too pop, I don't know it that well.
Yeah.
You, however,
yeah, I know it all.
Yeah,
The Mock Maniacs.
the Kazooniverse.
Yeah.
Mock Maniacs is good.
Yeah.
Kazooniverse. It's like the Podcastronauts.
Yeah.
Squad of Awesomeness.
Kazooniverse,
Not bad.
Yeah. So we got some. We got some.
What
things
we
to do.
have to remember, and what we have to remember is that we got to spit this thing out. So,
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
Yeah.
You know, there's some that aren't going to be that easy to say.
It's going to flow off the
might
tongue.
not get chosen.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. What do you think will look good on a T-shirt? You know?
Ooh, there you go.
Think about it like that when you're throwing out these ideas.
Yeah. Think sales, guys.
Yeah, come on. What's wrong with you?
Think making us money.
Hop to it. Yeah.
Can you do that for us?
And of course, keep sending in your ideas to at E&C Pod and E&C Pod of Awesomeness at gmail.com, which is our email, at EdgeRatedR at Christian4Peeps. So,
I'm about to blow your little tiny amoeba brain right now.
Why?
Yeah. Well, because did you know that on May 10th, 1996, this guy had his first WWF match.
Like first, like dark
21
match or
years
color?
ago.
Huh.
No, just first match period for the WWF against Bob Holly, Cops
my God.
Coliseum as Sexton Hardcastle, and I walked out to Pantera's Walk, and you were in the audience after
was.
driving me to the arena.
I was. How crazy of a day was that, right? Like, I mean, because it was like it was just like a normal day, and then out of the blue, you got a call from Carl DeMarco.
Yeah, Carl DeMarco, just to give everyone, information on him, he was Bret Hart's manager at one point. He then became the Canadian president of the WWF, and he really, really put a lot of work in to making the Canadian, part of the WWF promotion a really great vehicle for the WWF. It really grew in Canada. And he always looked out for the Canadian talent. He always kept an eye out for Canadian talent. And he would then either forward them to Brett or, talk to Shane or whoever. And so he always kept an eye out. And he really, he's one of the main reasons that I ever got my initial shot with WWF. And, kind of opened the floodgates for, the Toronto area. And I think people who know the wrestling history know that, but it's still kind of one of those sometimes untold stories.
No, he really did.
Much
He really
Carl
did.
did.
And it started with him seeing the advertisement for an indie show that was not far from where he lived, and it was on a weekend, and he thought he would stop by and see if there was any talent there. And he saw, I wasn't on that show, but he saw you in a match with Joey Legend, Rob Fuego, who was I can't remember what he was wrestling at the time.
He was wrestling Fuego.
El Fuego.
Right.
And was it just you three? And Johnny Swinger.
And Swinger.
Yep.
Yeah, in a tag. And I think you were with Keith, and you came and watched the show.
Yeah, we were in the crowd yelling at you guys, heckling you.
Yeah.
So
Carl saw that and kept in contact. He said, "Hey, you guys got something here, so keep in contact." And then we did. And then eventually Rob actually wrestled Hakushi out in Nova Scotia.
He did. Yeah.
when they needed somebody to just fill in when either somebody didn't get across the border, missed a flight, whatever it was.
Right.
So Rob wrestled Hakushi, who didn't really speak English, so that was a difficult one to pull off. But he got the opportunity out there, and then about a year later, and I don't even remember the exact circumstances of how I got word that they wanted me to wrestle.
Well, didn't they somehow they called the wrong coach? Like called your cousin or something like that? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah,
somebody.
It's kind of blurry.
Yeah, there was something defected.
And then I think my mom called you, or yeah,
and it got to me. Somehow it got to me, and then I called you, and I was like, "You have to call Carl DeMarco right now because they want you on the show tonight at Cops Coliseum in Hamilton." And we're about 45 minutes away from Hamilton, an hour with traffic. And so you called and you called me back. You're like, they want me on the show tonight. I got to get there. So I borrowed my mom's car and we jumped in and
Toby the Taurus.
Toby the Taurus. And we threw a couple buddies in there and we sat, I think we were like fifth row. They gave us great seats and we watched you in the opening match against Bob Hawley. And that kind of was like the first taste of, and I just remember sitting there and like, I couldn't believe it, seeing you in the ring on that stage. And then, it was kind of mind blowing and it kind of set the tone for what was to come in the next 2 years.
Well, it was interesting, as I was going out, and when I got in the ring, that's when it hit me. It's like, this is possible. Mm-hmm. This is doable. I always pictured it, but that's kind of the first time where I went, okay, I can do this. We can do this. I think this is going to happen. And even I remember, standing on the top rope and I was about to miss an elbow drop off the top in that old concrete ring they used to use. And I looked and I saw you guys and I saw my mom and I was just like, whoa, this is a mind trip. This is amazing. This is everything I thought it would be. This is exactly why I trained in that boxing ring. Exactly why I loved this growing up and just tore apart tapes trying to study and be ready for this moment. And standing on that top rope, seeing Bob down there and my white tights with the tassels hanging off and everything, I was like, okay, yeah, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, funny.
May 10th, 96.
Yeah. Another funny story that stemmed from that was, and you probably, because you have bad memory, you won't remember this till I bring it up and you'll remember exactly what I'm talking about. Same type of thing, but it was a year or two down the road. You had already signed a developmental contract. I was not under contract. You call me in the afternoon saying, hey, some people are having some issues at the border. They need me to come down to the house show, to the live event in Hamilton, same venue. And I was like, all right. So I'm sitting there playing NHL 96 on Sega Genesis in my bedroom. So I go out, ask my mom to borrow the car. Wrestlers rule, never go anywhere, never go to a show without your gear. So I was like, oh, throw my gear in the trunk. I come pick you up. We go down there. We get there as the show's already started. And like second or third match is in the ring. And they said, we walk in together and they pointed at me and said, did you bring your gear? And I said, of course. They said, okay, you guys are working each other after intermission. And we're like, what? Like no time to prepare, which was probably better. And just threw our stuff on. We'd wrestle each other a million times in the gym and all these other places. Literally had 20, maybe 30 minutes if we were lucky to get ready, get in the right mind frame and get out there in front of this crowd. And we went out there, had a match, came back, and I remember they, paid us pretty well for, great considering at the time I was broke. But and then we drove back to Toronto. We went to our usual jaunt late at night, which was the Perkins by the airport, where we used to get our late night meals. And next thing I know, we're sitting there and reading this, and I look up and I'm like, did that really happen? Like, was I really playing Sega NHL 96? And then, like 2 hours later, I'm wrestling on a WWE show, and now I'm eating at Perkins after. Like, I mean, like what just happened? But it was the same thing. Like, I got that taste of the crowd under those lights, and realized when I was in there, I can do this at this level. And it was good metrics. Do you remember that night?
I do. And I had 3 matches at Cops before I started on TV. And the first was against Bob, and then there was you, and there was one against Glenn Kulka as well. And I remember the instance with Cops, like, I was like, okay, we're going to be okay. With Bob, I just met Bob. I don't know Bob. He doesn't know me from Adam.
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't super thrilled with having to wrestle a local guy that he'd never heard of.
Not thrilled. No, not happy with it at first, and I don't blame him. I probably would have went, okay, this is going to be like pulling teeth. But then we got out there, we had good chemistry, and it turned into a good match, and we were all very happy by the end of it.
That's great.
But you don't know. You don't know going in. And then, but with you, it was like, okay, we've worked a million times. Yeah. We, one word and we know a spot and what moves, and it'll be intricate and all of those things. But I do remember just not going stupid. Crazy with stuff so that the rest of the guys weren't hot.
Right. And then it was also, but doing enough to showcase that, oh, well, these guys are pretty good. They bring something to the table. And, for me, on that, it was kind of like I said, good thing I didn't have too much time to think about it and to stress about it. Yeah. Because, you don't know how you're going to react once you get under the lights, right? Because it's such a bigger stage. Even though it was just a live event, there was still, 12, 15,000 people in the arena. So it's bigger than anything.
Yeah, too much time to think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and too much time to think at that point in your career, and you can really get in your own way, and that cliche of your own worst enemy, it's true. Yeah. Whereas if you're just chucked into something and it's either sink or swim. Right. Yeah. And I would say the fact that we now have a podcast 20 years later.
Telling the stories.
I guess that means we swam.
Yeah.
We Phelps that motherfucker.
Yeah, that means we got some fans, even though we don't have any Phelps.
Which we have to name. We have to name those fans.
Yeah, we got to name them. Who is the other?
Still like chump stains.
Who was the other guy? The other guy, not Phelps. Who's the other dude? Ryan Lochte. We get a lock. We Ryan Lochte that.
Did we though? Did we go to Brazil and lie about getting attacked? Did we do that?
About all the stories. Maybe we just made them up. So we had content to talk about. Yeah. Uh-huh. Ryan Lochte did.
Yeah. So 21 years ago. How about that, Birdman?
That's crazy.
Does that make your feathers feel old?
Yeah. I'm patting my feathers right now. Fuck, that was a long time ago.
And for those listening, if you still are at this point, the reason I called Jay Birdman is because his dad, Randy, good old Randy, used to call Jay Jaybird, and Jay hated it.
I despised it.
Yep. Which means, as his best friend, I needed to hop on that and beat that name into submission because I knew how much he hated it.
Right.
Eventually, it morphed into Birdman.
The Birdman. Yep.
The Birdman.
So, and to this day, all my close childhood friends call me Jaybird or Birdman. So, there you have it. So,
thank you, Randy Riso.
And thank you, Coco Beware, for stealing my gimmick.
Oh, Frankie, we hardly knew you.
Yeah. But speaking of fans, and that we actually have a couple. What about something we haven't done since the first episode? Listen to a few of those little those voicemails.
Ooh, there you go. There you go.
See what we've collected.
Yeah, let's hear them.
Hey guys, love the show, and no, there's nothing wrong with your voicemail box. This is an actual adult woman calling. I have a question for Christian. Can Tommy Dreamer take off his t-shirt, or is he required by law to keep it on? Thanks.
That's for you, Jay.
That's for me. I think that it maybe should be a law. I don't know that it necessarily is. Tommy weirdly likes to not have a lot of clothes on at certain times. And there's been instances where he's standing there having a conversation with somebody, and I will walk up, and if he's wearing sweats or track pants, I will pull his pants down to his ankles. Leave the underwear.
But he doesn't stop talking.
He doesn't stop talking. He stands there and no-sells it, and it's the funniest thing. And he will stand there for 10 minutes with his pants at his ankles. But yes, is there a law? No. Should there be? Most definitely.
Hey guys, it's Richard calling from Hamilton, Ontario.
Whoa.
On the last episode, Jay kind of admitted he's a dick. So my question for you guys is, first, Jay, why are you such a big dick? And Adam, do you know why Jay is such a big dick? Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Okay. You got to answer first. Yeah, we talked about Hamilton, and then look at that.
Right. I know. It's like karma. Yeah, and we should reiterate, we have not heard any of these voicemails previously to this, so that's pretty crazy that just happened. But why am I such a dick? Well, First of all, I think I'm a little bit misunderstood, right? But I guess some might say I'm insecure. I would say that's not the case. I don't know. I just get a kick out of pushing people's buttons to see how they react. I do it to everybody. I do it to my cats. I do it to my wife. I do it to my friends. I do it to my parents. I push everybody's buttons to see how far they will go before they kind of get mad at me. And then I apologize, and all is good in the world. Is there anything wrong with that?
So now my end of this will be, and you wonder why your daughter pushes your boundaries. So there's that.
Payback.
Yeah. But you have always been a giant dick. Yeah. And but before we get to your giant dickness, the Hamilton thing, that was crazy. Serendipity. Meant to be. You put it out in the atmosphere, my friend. What was his name, Mega Man?
I'd have to listen back. I think it was Richard.
Damn it, Matt. Richard.
I think it was Richard, yeah.
So, Dick. You have picked up on the fact that, yes, Jay is a giant dick and not a giant Richard.
So, wait. Dick is asking why I'm a dick?
What?
Dick is asking why I'm a dick. That's kind of a dick move.
Yes. Huh.
Get it?
Maybe it's because you're the middle brother. Hey, maybe it's, brother on either side, and you're like, hey, look at me over here. Look, I'm here. And, the way to show that you're there is to be a giant dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have a little bit of middle child syndrome in me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's a problem.
That's my take. Mind you, I do think it served you well in your wrestling career because you, when you were a heel, were a very, you were a dick.
Yeah, very.
But a sometimes likable dick.
Yeah. And
why is dick a negative connotation, by the way?
Yeah. Why does it have to be that? I don't see. Maybe it's a term of endearment is how we should be taking it, I don't know.
Oh, you're such a dick.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound quite as good.
No. Man, you're such a dick. No, it's got to be negative. But I think it did serve me well in my wrestling
That's
career.
why.
Yeah. I was kind of,
and that is why, Dick.
Yeah.
I'm talking to Dick again, please.
Right.
Don't be a dick, Jay. And I will also say, Jay, that you said it yourself. Your cats think you're a dick, and that's why Felix is still visiting here.
Felix.
Yep.
All I have for him is pictures. Please send him home.
He's got a sweet pad up here, though. He loves the mountains.
He hates your dogs, though.
He roams. No, he loves the dogs. He crawls up with a little Hopi, a little terrier.
He'll come back when he's ready.
I also am very impressed that we have a female listener.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
There's actually a woman out there that listens to this?
Insanity.
First of all, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Or what is right with you? Huh? Because how many husbands or boyfriends do you think have had this on in the background and their wife is just like, oh my God,
turn this
not those two idiots again.
Yeah.
Like I got to listen to them now. The TV show wasn't enough. Now I got to listen to them.
Right.
So, sorry, ladies.
We got one. We're building.
We got one. Do
you want one more?
Sling it.
Listen up there, Hardcastle and the other guys. If you think my accent's real deep, won't you get your butt in the vehicle? Christian, you can put on your little fishnet top there, buddy. You come on up up Interstate 26, up into southwestern Virginia. I'll take you back in a holler, son. I ain't seen daylight since 1953. And we'll talk about accents. I'm sorry I'm not all Canadian like you guys. I mean, what's that about?
Let me tell you something, brother. I don't have to put on my mesh shirt because I'm already wearing it.
Never comes off.
Never comes off. Yeah.
Between that and the puffy shirt?
Yep.
It's like every other day, right?
Well, I wear the puffy shirt over the mesh shirt and keep it open. It's a fashion statement.
Yeah, so that explains the accent, though. As soon as you said West Virginia, I was like, okay, yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That,
he's very angry.
Denny's Diner, Huntington, West Virginia.
Yeah, and he's also maybe mad that we besmirched his fine state when I talked about my dealings there, where I had some items stolen from the arena in West Virginia.
Hey, what if it was him?
Man, what if it was?
What if he took that phone way back in his hauler that hasn't seen sunlight since 1953, and I don't think that's something to brag about.
No.
What if he's got your cell phone there?
Damn it.
And he's like, What if he's recording himself and doing filthy things on that thing? Do you want it back still?
What if he's mocking me? Not mocking me, but what if he's mocking me by calling in on my old flip phone?
On your show.
Yeah.
My show, but your show too.
Yeah.
What? I bet you it is.
Back.
I bet you it's him. Give us the phone back.
Give it back.
Now you hear?
Yeah.
Yeah. Matt Hardy's the only one that is getting that right now.
Right. It was good to listen in on some of those voicemails. We haven't done that for a while, so we got some good ones. They're funny.
Yeah, hear the voice of the people, the voice of the population.
Yeah.
Ooh, I might have just come up with the name right there, but then I'm not involved at all.
No, the population's been around for a while. I hate to break it to you. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought maybe I just made it up.
But, hey, I guess we've been talking about this hockey thing for the last few weeks, this little hockey playoff deal that's been going on. I guess we should...
that little Stanley Cup thing that people are all excited about? This seems like a good week to really talk to Mega Matt and rub his face in the fact that the Blue Shirts, the Rangers of New York, and all you Rangers fans who tweeted me were like, oh, you didn't give our team a chance. There's a reason why. Mm-hmm. And you saw the reason why this series.
It was horrendous. I mean, what can I say?
It's a good game. It's a good game.
It was sort of like, I mean, and I don't want to call out individuals because in my brain I pretend like they would actually hear and get upset with me. Mm-hmm. But like, a guy like Chris Kreider plays an incredible third period. Wasn't there for most of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Derek Stepan hasn't done much.
No.
You blow two leads on back-to-back Saturdays with under a minute left. I mean, my pillow last night, little soggy.
It was wet.
Yep.
It was wet.
Let me ask you a question.
Stanley Cup tears.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Is Lundqvist still Lundqvist, or is it time to move on?
He's not Lundqvist that we had a few years ago. I think he's still a very good goalie, but there was a look on his face yesterday when he was clapping and staring into the crowd like, Jesus, I don't know how much longer I have to do this. Mm-hmm. So,
Well, not to mention the fact that Ranta played so well. I know Ranta was hurt and out of the playoffs, but I mean, he outplayed Lundqvist like for the majority of the time this season.
Yeah, but the problem with saying that is that as a Ranger fan, I understand we're a very dumb breed of fan. So now people are just like, you should get rid of Lundqvist and let Ranta play because he's 20. And it's like, no, he's a 27-year-old backup goalie. He played very well, but over the course of a full season,
people platoon him.
Yeah, people would go nuts though. They'd be furious with full season of Ranta. So
now you got to platoon him at this point until you find your next franchise goalie. My opinion.
But even then, a franchise goalie, that's great. And I think Lundqvist is at a point in his career where he can't be the goalie, and as I've said, goalie in fourth line, I think, win cups. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's the goalie that can take a team just by himself now. You put him on the Penguins, he's winning some cups, I think. Because he's got that in front of him. I just don't think the Rangers have built a team, or at least maybe on paper they have, but it just has not gelled to the point where it looks like it should on paper. They're always going to be a tough team. They're always going to be there somewhere in the mix, kind of like Boston.
Well, arguably they have like one of the better fourth lines. You were talking about a fourth line with Grabner, who had 27 goals this year.
Yeah.
They have a pretty good depth on the third and fourth line. I think maybe defense is their issue a little bit. Maybe after McDonough, Brady Shea, who's really young, who's going to be super good, but is a rookie, and I don't know what you really have after that.
Defense is a problem, and then down the middle, I mean, guys like Derek Stepan, he had a very, very bad season, and they don't win faceoffs. If you don't win faceoffs, I mean, puck possession is everything. So
yeah, and then you got a guy like JT Miller who had a big year, and he didn't really show up in the playoffs either. So makes it hard.
Well, and then you have the head coach saying that the captain of the other team is basically walks on water, and compared to his captain, and it's like, hey.
Yeah, not a great look. I mean, I was happy they hit the reset button pretty quickly and made some tweaks to be competitive, because last year when they got bounced in the first round by Pittsburgh, I thought it was going to be a full rebuild and a bad team for a little while, and that Lundqvist would never get another crack at it, but they have some work to do. I'm a Preds fan from here on out.
What did he say? What did he say as far as comparing the captains? What was that?
Well, and who knows how taken of context this was, but he was just saying he I think it was to the extent of like he wishes his captain was like the captain of Ottawa, or that the captain of Ottawa can do so many different things that his captain can't do, or something like that. And I was watching the U.S. feed, so they were just talking about it, or I was like, did he actually say that? So. I'm third hand now saying it, and I could be wrong, and Rangers fans will chastise me and roast me over a pit.
Right. I didn't hear it and I didn't see it, so I can't comment on it. But I would say that, you're talking about Erik Karlsson, who's a 2-time Norris Trophy winner and is running again this year. And this is a guy that gets, scores points like he's a high-end forward, 70, 80 points from a defenseman every year.
With a broken heel right now.
Yeah.
Right.
So, the guy's inhuman,
Did you see that slap pass?
I didn't see it
on the second goal. It was so ridiculous. I've grown up watching hockey. I know how to keep my eye on the puck. I had no idea what happened. It was so well done. I don't know if I've seen one done that well, and it just on both ends. I think who was it? It was Stone that scored, and man, it was good.
Yeah,
it was good.
Yeah, I guess if you play like that with a broken heel, you deserve it. So
yeah,
I think everybody can agree, though, that Ryan McDonough, who's the captain of the Rangers, is a really good defenseman, but Erik Karlsson is an elite defenseman. There's a difference,
Yeah,
for sure.
And now it's interesting. We're recording this the day of the big game. I believe it's Pittsburgh and Washington tonight.
Pittsburgh, Washington tonight, Game 7,
tomorrow?
And Edmonton, Anaheim tonight, Game 7.
Yeah. Man. Yeah, I know my oil pick is hanging by a thread at this point. It looked real good that last game, though.
Well, even the game that they lost, where there were those questionable penalties called that cost them the game, and I actually heard a funny story. A guy said yesterday, goes, did anybody realize that that Edmonton's the only team in the playoffs that actually has to win 5 games to win a series? Yeah, because that game that they lost was pretty much handed to Anaheim.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
I'm still picking the oil. Oil and Preds.
Yeah. I think my pick was the Senators and the Predators, I think. That was my pick originally.
No, I think you said Ducks. If we're going way, way back, you thought the Ducks were going to be out against the Flames.
No, I didn't. Honestly, I think I picked the Ducks. Ducks and Senators were my pick.
Did you? Maybe I picked the Flames.
Well, the big question is Washington going to get over the hump? Are they going to?
I don't know, man. I don't know if they're going to do it.
I'm surprised they came back.
Right.
And won that game in Pittsburgh. I know the Penguins haven't been the same since Crosby got dinged. It's amazing the difference in that team since that game. Right. It really shifted the balance of power in that series, but I still didn't expect them to take Game 6 in Pittsburgh. I really, really did not. And Fleury looked shaky.
Even, in the fashion they did. But sometimes when you win big like that, it can be dangerous. Like that same thing with the Edmonton-Anaheim
with
game.
Edmonton,
Like Edmonton blew them out of the water, and that just motivates the other team that much more that they got blown out. It wasn't like it was an overtime loss or it was super tight. It was, it was a blowout, and that motivates the other team to no end, I think. So in some instances, that cannot be such a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I think Justin Williams, Mr. Game 7.
Yeah.
A little dangerous, so we'll see
what happens. It's exciting.
Yeah. Okay. Real quickly, let's pick them then, and then we'll move on to our guest because that guest is a big get. My get.
Yep.
The big red machine, Kane, Glenn Jacobs. But first, let's pick 'em time. All right. I'm still picking Penguins.
I'm going to pick, for the sake of argument, because it really doesn't matter to me which team moves on, but I'm going to pick the Capitals.
I'm going to go Caps,
all
too.
Right. Caps, because they're in Washington. I get it. Okay. That'd be a big comeback. That'd be momentum going in against nations' capitals colliding. Ottawa and Washington. Okay. I'm picking the Oil still.
I am going to pick the Ducks, and I'm going to say that because now when they win, everybody will be talking about the game they shouldn't have won, and the Oilers would have won the series. And that's the way that it's going to play out. There's going to be all that drama. On the
kind of like the Leafs and the Kings back in 92 or 93.
Yep. With the high stick.
Yeah. I'm going to pick the Oilers because the Preds Oilers would be a much more fun series, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. there's our picks.
There.
So, I don't know. Without further ado, shall we swing to our guest, the big man?
Let's do it. Let's find out why he thinks I'm a dick.
You're listening to E&C's Pod of Awesomeness.
All right, a huge part of eating healthy is just finding the time to do it, taking the time to plan your meals, go to the farmer's market, figure out your portions. It all adds up. And if you're like me, you got 2 kids, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you don't have time for all of that. If that's the case, you're going to love Sunbasket.
That's right. Sunbasket delivers delicious, healthy recipes and fresh ingredients straight to your door.
You know, we've been doing it, and you can get dinner to the table in 30 minutes, and it's all healthy, and it's made easy.
Wow, that's great. And you know what? You'll get organic, non-GMO ingredients from the best farms and fishermen. Everything is seasonal and sustainably sourced.
Why do you always sound like Christian Bale as Batman when you read these? Sunbasket offers paleo, gluten-free, vegetarian, breakfast, and family options, and they're created by award-winning chefs and approved by nutritionists.
I thought they were preparing these in the Batcave. Maybe that's why. Each meal comes with pre-measured fresh ingredients and easy-to-follow directions.
Here's the best part, and I can vouch because I have been pushing these down my mouth hole. They're delicious. It's time in the kitchen well spent.
Right, so go to sunbasket.com/awesome today and get your first 3 meals free. That's sunbasket.com/awesome to get 3 healthy, easy-to-prepare meals for free. sunbasket.com/awesome.
All right, folks, we have our guest this week.
We do.
Glenn Jacobs. How about that?
A.K.A.
Hey.
Hey.
You're not even going to wait for me to finish. Glenn doesn't want to hear me talk. Glenn hates me.
Nobody
ahead
wants
with the
to hear you
AKA.
talk, Jay.
A.K.A. the Big Red Machine, A.K.A. Kane. Right?
Now,
Hey, now. Hey.
You got your cue. You've done this before.
I have to set this up for everybody listening because they won't know the dynamic that you two have. And the dynamic is that Glenn hates Jay.
That's a very strong term.
No, that's true.
He's annoying,
dislike.
as anyone that, is around him can attest to. So,
he has an ability. Some would say it's a gift. Some would say, I don't know, it's a curse. But Jay can really annoy people. He's like Eddie Haskell from Leave It to Beaver.
It's the middle child syndrome.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's just because you poke the bear on both sides, right? And then, like, when I was a kid, I would always get my younger brother and my older brother. I would kind of poke both of them and get them to fight, and then I just kind of stand back and watch my work.
Now, see, I get it with your older and younger brother, but you are poking a 6'8", 320-pound man.
Well, that's the fun of it. See what happens
when we're talking with Glenn.
And I can also run faster than him, which is good. Works in my favor. But actually, our relationship.
You don't know that, actually.
You don't. Yeah.
Our relationship actually goes back to even before we actually officially met, Glenn. Because I should probably tell the story that when
It's a good story.
When Adam first started with WWE on the road, I was probably 6-8 months behind him coming in, and I remember for whatever reason I started having this recurring dream/nightmare about you, and I'd never met you before, and it was you as Kane, this grunting monster that never talked. And the first one was, I remember I was walking out of my grandmother's house, and I got on the porch and I turned around and you were behind me for some reason. And you were grunting at me and it scared me. And I'm a grown man, by the way. And I run away.
No, that's the grown man part.
That's debatable.
So I run away from you and I run down the block and I turn around and realize that you didn't catch me. And when I turned back around, you were standing in front of me. And you ripped my arm off and started to beat me with my own arm. And I thought to myself, well, how am I going to get out of this situation? This guy's beating me with my own arm. So what do? I think that I'm going to kick you in the knees to kick your knee out. I go to kick you, but you move and I accidentally hit you in the nuts. And then you screamed like a girl. You went, eek, like this really high screech. And that's when I ran away, and that was the end of the dream. And the next one was I was somehow walking backstage at Raw, and you were coming down the the hallway, the other end, and for whatever reason, you randomly threw a clothesline at me, and I ducked it. And you looked at me and you were like, doing your Kane stuff, and you were mad that I ducked your clothesline backstage. And you chased me out into the parking lot, and I slid underneath a car. And it was just you underneath the car, like going, like trying to reach and grab me under the car, and I'm like kicking your hands away. And that was the other dream that I had of you. And I remember Adam was reporting back to you these dreams that I was having about you. And when I finally met you, I realized that you really were a mean person in real life.
Yeah, that would tear off arms and beat people with it. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's just nice to know that you were dreaming about me before you ever met me.
Right.
Yeah. There's something to be said for that, right?
Mm-hmm. I think it was foreshadowing how close we become in the future.
Now,
so let me tell you a story about Jay.
Yes.
Jay and I thought we were friends, and hadn't seen him in a few months because we were on different shows, and I forget where we're flying to, but
Denver.
Walking through. Yeah, we're in Denver. I'm walking into Denver Airport, and anyone that's ever been in Denver, they have this really long concourse right in the middle of the airport, and I see Jay, and I'm all happy because I haven't seen him in months. So he's like, "Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, Jay, it's good to see you, man. How's everything going? Great. Hey, would you like to grab something to eat?" And I'd actually had just gotten something to eat because I had to catch my flight. I'm like, "Oh, man, I'm sorry, I can't. I just had something." Out of nowhere, he just punches me in the stomach and then just runs away laughing in the middle of the airport. For no reason.
And then I hear down the corridor.
Why would you do that to another person?
And then I hear yelling down the corridor, "You're such a dick!" as I run away, which was great.
Yeah, a person that you supposedly like. That's how you treat them.
I do like Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should probably tell the other story about when I walked in on you sleeping in the locker room that time. This is a really good one, actually. So I walk in this. We're at a live event, right? So it's kind of more relaxed than being at a TV. So I walk back and I walk in this dark locker room, and Glenn is sleeping on the floor, like in his Kane outfit.
No, I was stretching actually.
No, you're. Oh, I thought you were. Well, you had your eyes closed, whatever it was. So I go over and I stand over him, and he's on the ground, and his eyes are closed, and he's like in this really peaceful moment. And I had this bottle of water, and I'm just sipping this bottle of water. I'm standing over him. He has no clue I'm there, and I'm just looking at him like, I don't even know why I did it. I just dumped some of the water on his face. What? His eyes pop open, and I've never seen him so mad, and it scared the shit out of me. I started to run. All of a sudden, there was a chair by him. He flings this chair across the room, and now I'm doing the high step, and this chair is tumbling behind me, behind my feet, as I'm running away. And then I actually waited a few minutes. I hid so he'd calm down, and then I went back, and I was like, "Glenn," and he's like, and he starts apologizing to me. That's how nice Glenn is. He's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to throw the chair at you." I was like,
the reaction.
Yeah.
And I was like,
so I was like in my head, I'm like, okay, I've spun this around already. I'm like, it's okay, Glenn. I forgive you.
I'll let you go this time.
Yeah. So.
Now, just to like, so Glenn is in his full gear.
Yeah.
Basically, where you walk in on Kane Yoga, and you decide that dumping water on this huge human being is a good idea. What is not firing in your brain?
Well, when the water was on its way down is when I realized this isn't going to be good, but it was too late. Yeah, it was like an impulse. And as soon as I saw his eyes open, I was like, "Oh boy, I better get out of this room." So that's when I hit the bricks. So, yeah.
So, Glenn, you don't do many of these things, do you? These podcast things.
Well, these podcast things. This newfangled technology you guys are doing here.
Yeah, we're only like the 800th wrestling podcast, but we're catching up.
Yeah, we're $7.99 in your heart.
Yeah. So. Well, I want to thank you for doing it, first of all, because I know, with the way your character is on television, it can be difficult to do these things sometimes. But, we, as a wrestling fan, going back all the way through your career and watching, everything kind of the changes in your character. And I know we've had talks before how you wanted the character to become more of a speaking character, an evil kingpin almost type of guy. Is that something that you always thought about, was how to keep the character fresh? Because, you've been there, man, for forever. And I mean that in a good way, because most people's careers in WWE, they're a hiccup. But you have been the glue for that company. You're one of the people that keeps all the pieces together.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. And say the same about you guys, actually. But, yeah, as far as reinventing yourself, I believe that is one of the keys to longevity. The other one, being not getting hurt. And, the not getting hurt part is sometimes a little bit out of your control. Conditioning, of course, can play a part in it, but let's face it, what we do is inherently dangerous, and sometimes it just happens. There's nothing we can do about that. But as far as reinventing yourself, if you look at guys that had a long tenure and are having a long tenure, it is their ability to reinvent themselves. Because frankly, since we produce so much original content, people are seeing us at least 52 times a year, if not more, and many times much more. So no matter how good you are at whatever you're doing, eventually it's going to run its course. So if you look at a guy like Shawn Michaels, like Triple H, you guys went through various incarnations individually, a guy like John Cena, and then a guy like me, and a guy like Undertaker as well. You see at least different tweaks on the character over the years, and that is, again, that's just something that, because the nature of what we do is something that you have to be good at, to be able to be there for a long time. And I think one of the things that, there's a lot of, as we all know, there's a lot of misconceptions and stereotypes about our business, and I think one of the major ones is people underestimate how flexible entertainers that we are, and they think, oh, this guy just plays this character in and out every week. But then if you actually watch, you see that the name might be the same, but in many cases the character evolves and develops into something that's completely different than it had been a number of years before.
Yeah, it's interesting with our industry. I've always said, if, let's say I go to a set or something, they're like, how did you know to do that? I was like, it's training from wrestling. With wrestling, you're live. You have, 8 cameras. You have to be aware of which camera is hot. You have to be able to translate to your opponent what's happening, listen to the crowd, keep it from the cameras and the crowd, let alone if you've had your bell rung or you're just blown up. All of those things are happening at the same time, and you have to be able to make a decision in a nanosecond, with the speed of, like an NFL game. I think as more wrestlers and more, sports entertainers start to delve into different areas in life, I think those misconceptions are starting to break down. I think the doors, little by little, with a guy like, Dwayne doing his thing, Dave doing his thing, and now you running for mayor of Knox County. These are all things now that people are going, okay, there's more to these performers than we thought.
Absolutely. And yeah, you look at a guy like, and you too, Adam, with what you've done out there acting, same thing, and then, oh gosh, Jay is very well-rounded at a number of things, including being a jerk in real life. But in all seriousness, he's just a great entertainer in a number of different ways. And then, you look at a guy like Dwayne, and it's like a guy goes from being, a wrestler to arguably the number one movie star in the world.
Highest paid.
That just is mind-boggling. And you do see people branching out into different areas, and I think that's great. And I think that's really, people ask me, for instance, with Vince, is he supportive of this or that? And I find that he usually is supportive of things because I think that he wants people to realize that the people that work for WWE as performers, we're very talented, and we choose to work there. And I think a lot of people think, well, they're maybe too stupid or too limited with their talents to do anything else. And that's absolutely not the case. Mm-hmm. The reason that I'm in WWE and have been for so long, it's because I want to be. That's where I choose to be. And there's other things that I could have done, and WWE was always the best option for me. It's something that I like doing, something that I have a lot of fun at, and something I'm good at. But yeah, I absolutely agree with you, and I think that is a step forward, in how people relate to us. And I also think that that's just good for the business, because when we go out and do different things, I really think it does say a lot about not only us personally, but about the company and the organization that we work for.
You know what's interesting too? I think as an audience, the WWE fan, the wrestling fan, I think they follow us with whatever we do, and I think they're proud as well, because it vindicates or validates what they're a fan of. Like, hey, no, hold on a second. You want to make fun of me for liking wrestling, whether people do or don't, but look at what these guys are doing. Look at what these girls are doing. Like, they're going out. They can do other things. There's a reason that I like this. There's a reason that we all liked it, and that's because it's this melting pot of everything cool.
Well, the thing is, too, it's like WWE, the platform we have is almost like entertainment boot camp, right? Because we're doing all different, we're playing characters, we're performing in front of a live audience, we're doing things backstage, and sometimes I said, we're trying to figure out characters, how to evolve them, how to make them continue to stay fresh week after week. I think back to, Glenn, your earlier career, you had a couple incarnations of previous characters, and then, that didn't necessarily work, and it took you a while to when you got the Kane character, to really, okay, this is what I can sink my teeth into. And, it wasn't even, I don't think the Kane character was that easy of a character to portray, because at the start, you were a guy that didn't talk. You had a mask on. You had to figure out another way to emote your emotions to the audience, to get that feedback. And what were the tools that you used to figure that out, what was going to make this character work, as opposed to the ones that didn't necessarily catch on before that?
Experience, failure is
good
failure
teacher.
is not failure unless you don't learn anything from
right.
it. And I always tell people the only time you quit is when the only time you're a failure is when you quit and don't try again. So that really had to do a lot with it. It's a learning process. The thing that I always found interesting was that, because I did wear a mask, and because people could not see emotion portrayed in my face, which is generally how we evoke those things to the audience, I had to learn how to use my body a lot more, and how to use some subtle movements and do that sort of thing. And I think that helped me a lot as a performer, because then when the mask came off, I had that in addition to, frankly, when you use facials, it's just easier, and since I was forced to use my body for so long and couldn't talk and all that sort of things, on the one hand, it may seem like a handicap, but in the end, it really helped me, be able to do things more effectively than I would have otherwise. And you guys are exactly right, too, about the entertainment boot camp aspect of it. I remember I went to an acting coach once, and some people probably say he didn't finish the job, but that's all right. So I go to an acting coach, and basically what he wanted to concentrate on were things like hitting your mark and eye lines. Mm-hmm. And we worked like 10 minutes, and he's like, excited. In this movie, I wasn't saying anything. He's like, sort of like, okay, well, why are you here? But that's true. Those are the sort of things that we have to do, and we have to do them live. Mm-hmm. And I always find when I do television and movies, it's hard for me to rehearse. And I've had directors tell me this, like, you're not a good rehearser, are you? I'm like, no, because I'm waiting for the red light to come on so I can do it once and leave.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
You know, and I actually have a lot of respect for actors after doing that, because you have to do it several takes and try to have the same emotion, the same performance, or just slightly different, and that can be very difficult to do.
It can be
nevertheless,
challenging.
yeah, and that's one of the things I think, if people were to think about it, we go out there and we have sometimes 15-minute monologue or 15-minute dialogue in front of a live audience of 15,000 people and an at-home audience of 3 million people, and we're doing it live. And there are no retakes. We have to get it right the first time, and that's not something that a lot of people can do.
And also, you know, with ad-libbing as well, right? Because it's like, you know, sometimes something, and we've talked about this before, like something that's working in Topeka doesn't necessarily, it's something that's going to work in Kansas City, right? So sometimes you have to feel the crowd a little bit and ad-lib a little bit on and try to get them to react to what you're looking to get out of it.
Absolutely, and that's one of the beautiful things about our business is we have the freedom to do that. We're not so completely tied to a script that it's point A to point B. I mean, we always have to get to point B because that's the destination. That's where we want to go. But often the route that we take to get there can be different, and you know that's what I've always enjoyed about it, and that's what I always enjoyed, frankly, when I was back when I was a little kid, when I was a fan. You know, just watching, it was like you just see the guys go out, and you see Ric Flair, you know, with his promo, and he's just like going all over the place, and it was just awesome. Because you could tell there was no scripting, there was no anything. It was just Rick talking. Same with like a guy like Arn Anderson, who just incredible. So yeah, that I think that's one of the beautiful things about our business is the ability to ad lib and improvise.
Well, and to your point earlier about hitting a mark and things like that, I think that's one thing that if you just relate it to acting, I think directors always seem impressed. It's like you're always on your mark, and I think the training from wrestling is if you don't hit your mark, somebody can break their arm.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty important that you hit your mark. So I've always found that interesting, and it's also interesting too. Like you talked about earlier, you used your body so much. I always related certain characters to movie characters. You know, I always said that Jay and I were the Lost Boys, and then we were Bill and Ted's, and then so on and so on. I always looked at you, especially when you first came out in that, I think it was Bad Blood. Was that the first pay-per-view that Kane made his appearance? And you tore the door off the hinges, and your subtle little head movements, you just take it sideways like a dog hearing a dog whistle. And it was very Mike Myers, Jason Voorhees-esque, and I remember thinking, "Oh, that scares me to death."
I think one of the great things about Wear the Mask is you had that mystique and that mystery, and you never knew what Kane was thinking. You know, and that was a huge advantage. You know, going back to what you're talking about, reinventing yourself, you know, and changing. Eventually, I'll tell you guys the story. You know, eventually what happened was I did feel that the mask had become a hindrance, and I had gone as far as I could with that. And then, you know, it's funny because people ask me, you know, who made the decision to take the mask off, and it was me and Vince. And the only people that were convinced it was a good idea were me and Vince. Everyone else was of the mind that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It turned out to be one of the best things I ever did because, you know, it pretty much changed into a new character completely. You know, so, but again, I don't think I would have ever been able to do that or had the success that I had later if I hadn't sort of gone through that boot camp when I was wearing the mask and learning how to portray the emotion without my face.
Did you have any like I know that you said you thought it was time. Did it still make you nervous a little bit to wonder how people would react to it, or was it something like you were looking forward to the challenge, or what were your, like, you know, when we finally got the okay on it? What was your both?
Yeah, both. I was apprehensive because it was one of those deals. I was like, what if, you know, Vince isn't wrong often, but I'm thinking to myself, what if we're wrong? and what if this, what if I really, find out, we shouldn't have done that, and, you can always put the mask back on, of course, but you do lose a lot of that mystique, and you're just doing something to be doing something. So there was some pressure on me too, as far as, man, I got to get this right, okay? Because if I don't, it's not going to be good for anyone, most of all me, and I'm probably going to feel like a complete idiot because I'm just
my
really
idea
pushing for this. Yeah. So luckily it did turn out well, but yeah, there was some apprehension because I was like, yeah, I can pull this off, but it's also something I haven't done before, and what I'm doing now is working okay, but frankly, that's life too.
Right.
Sometimes you just have to take a risk and go out and do it. And if you don't, you'll never know what could have been.
Right. I remember wrestling the first time we got in the ring with you. We were doing something with the Brood, and we did the Pack of Wolves attack on you. And I remember being freaked out when we were doing it because the way you actually it must have been hard breathing in that mask. Because I just remember the way you were going and it was actually freaky.
That's probably because you were punching me in the stomach.
Yeah, Jay was really punching you in the ribs. That's why.
The rubber mallets. But Glenn dubbed my punches the rubber mallets.
Man, someone played. Do you guys remember the backstage segment that I did with Rock and Hulk Hogan, where I imitated Hulk Hogan?
Yes.
One of the funnest things I've ever been able to do. What was funny is I was listening to it, it's yeah, my voice is really muffled. And I never thought about that before. Seriously, I hadn't, because I'd never had any problem breathing in the masks. But in that one, you could clearly hear that, just because it was so close to my mouth and everything, that, it was more muffled, of course, when I take it off. And it seemed like common sense, but I never even thought about it. And when people asked me, was it hard to breathe in the mask, I never really noticed. But, I guess there were some, restrictions and constraints maybe that when you're out there in the heat of the moment, you never even think about.
I tell you what, more props to you, because Jay and I wore those Conquistadors masks.
Oh, man.
Full transparency, folks. We're going to drop this little piece of nugget of wisdom on you guys. We were the Conquistadors.
That was us. And,
that was us. In case you didn't know,
it was.
Well, honestly, it probably didn't help matters that the masks weren't made on time, so they had to go get some from Hot Topic, I believe, and they were lucha masks, and they spray painted them gold. So we were kind of huffing in spray paint fumes. So that probably didn't help matters. But
we were completely I just remember being dizzy. I was like, why am I so dizzy? Is it because I can't breathe? Oh, it's because I'm huffing in paint fumes. That's why. So I did find, from a cardio standpoint, much more difficult with a mask on. So
and vision-wise too, you can't see. Yeah. It's sometimes hard to see everything.
They also spray painted the eyes gold too, so that didn't help. But,
that is true. Your straight-on vision is fine, but your peripheral vision is really cut down, and I think that does that takes some getting used to, because it's a little bit just discombobulating, because you're like a dog, right? That when something's coming at you, you don't see it, all of a sudden you react to it, and that does take you a little getting used to.
Yeah. So, your career goes back. Smoky Mountain goes. You've been able to do this and a long time, and you have. You've been through generations of performers. Mm-hmm. Through all of those times, and I know this is it's always been a difficult question for me to answer, but who did you find were your favorite guys to get in there with? And I'm sure it's for different reasons, but who did you always go, all right, I can't wait for this one?
I hate that question.
because it limits it, right? And
I've had the honor and the privilege of working with so many great performers, that it's very hard to narrow it down, because it's just going to basically be whoever bubbles up from my subconscious today. So it is very difficult.
It is hard because there's so many times people, I get asked that question too. I'm sure everybody does, but it's one of those things, you've had so many matches, and every person it kind of brings something different, a different element to each match, right? That makes it different and enjoyable in different ways.
Exactly.
But I mean, obviously, I think your stuff with Taker coming in with him, that would obviously have to be a huge. Obviously, it was a huge launching pad for the Kane character. But I mean, if you know, obviously in your matches with Taker as well, right?
Yeah, of course. That's somewhat biased because, as you said, I mean, there was so much that was tied to Undertaker. But nevertheless, I mean, you know, the guy's one of the all-time greats. So, you know, anytime you're out there with him, you know, it's just an awesome moment. And my favorite match ever was first WrestleMania match as Kane with Undertaker, because, you know, that was the culmination of that storyline. At least I thought at that point it was.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
Fast forward 20 years later.
15 years afterwards, yeah. But, you know, and it's also emotionally, I owe him so much. I wouldn't be where I am today if he hadn't been an advocate of mine. So that's a bit of a loaded answer.
Right.
You know, but there's so many great guys. I mean, Austin, Rock, Triple H, you guys, you know, if you look at tag teams, the Hardys, the Dudleys, you know, all those guys. Then you move forward and you get guys like Cena. I'm a huge Seth Rollins fan. You know, anyone that's ever been in the ring with Seth, he is, you know, he really is like the second coming of Shawn Michaels. He's that good. You know, and then some guys like Cesaro, who's just a dude that's so smooth and can do anything, you know, and he can go out one night and have a match with me and then go out the next night and have a match with Jericho, two completely different styles, and still have the best match of the night because he's that good. I liked working with the smaller guys a lot. Some of my favorite matches were with Rey Mysterio, because that contrast in our sizes really told a good story. Like, you know, when Taker and I are out there, or like when Big Show and I are out there, it can be a little difficult because people aren't used to us getting beat up. You know, you know, they're not used to people beating me up. Like Big Show is one of the few guys that can believably do that. But I think it's a detachment from, you know, the match that they normally see. You know, but like I said, there's so many, and I'm probably leaving off about 30 guys as well. So that is a very difficult question to answer because, you know, frankly, you know, again, I've just had the opportunity to work with so many guys because I know whether you like it or hate it, WWE is where the best of the best are, and I've been there for a long time, so I've had the opportunity to work with the best.
I think I think back in recent memory as well, and I think it says something to the equity that you kind of built up with the Kane character, that you could kind of, you know, like you say, kind of go through all these transformations, that you could even kind of start doing putting comedy elements with the character, like the stuff that you did with Daniel Bryan, and when you guys went to counseling and that tag team, like that was
Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, I mean that stuff was just great.
Yeah, and that was actually some of my favorite stuff because it was such a departure from what I'd done before. And I think that if you'd asked people 5, 6, 7 years before that Kane is going to be the funny guy on the show, of course that's ridiculous, right? But we were able to pull it off, and a lot of it due to the fact that, you know, he's another guy. He's just a great performer. So yeah. And a lot of the things, you know, is being surrounded by. It's like a dance, right? And you know, you guys know this, but a lot of it depends on the person that you're out there with and how good they are. And if they're really good, it's a lot of fun. If they're not so good, it ain't so much fun.
It was funny with the Daniel Bryan stuff too. It made it funnier to me that the mask was back on. It added a different layer of comedy to it. And I remember coming back for one night, and it was Philadelphia, and they said, do you want to come back for a night and, you know, kind of promote Haven, and we'll have a tie-in and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, so what do you guys have in mind? And they're like, oh, we don't know. I said, well, I want to do something with Glenn and Brian. And they're like, okay, cool. And I remember being in the ring, and the end of this whole thing is we hug. And I remember thinking to myself, after all the things that our characters had been through the years, and trying to set each other on fire and like. Just so much, character-wise, vile stuff. And then I stood there looking at you and thinking, okay, I'm hugging Glenn right now. Seeing your mask, it was just so surreal. But I had so much fun doing that. So I can't even imagine, all the therapy sessions and the restaurant stuff, the fun you guys must have had. It translated.
Oh, it was great. And yeah, I mean, for me, of course, it wouldn't have been nearly as funny for not wearing the mask, because that just added a complete element of ridiculously to it that was so cool and also believable. But here you have a guy in a mask who's arguably the meanest person on the planet, and he has to put up with this other dude. I'm the straight guy, and Daniel's the guy making all the jokes. And where else would that work but in WWE? And it worked fantastic, and the Dr. Shelby stuff and all that. It was magic. It really was. It was great.
Well, I thought it was great too for Daniel as well, because there was a time where people thought maybe he didn't have so much of a personality, or wasn't such a great talker, just because he never really had the chance to do it. And when he got that platform, I mean, he hit a home run. He was hilarious.
Absolutely, man. And hopefully, he was able to spin off out of that. He was able to spin off out of that, and hopefully what it did was give him a platform, like you said, to shoot to something even higher, because he went right out from that to to going with Cena and winning the World Championship. And I think it was really good for both of us. And that's how the business should be. It should be things when we have storylines and all that sort of stuff. And hopefully at the end, everybody involved wins. And in that one, I think we certainly did.
And that's one of those things, not that you're, I guess maybe underappreciated, but that's not the right term, because I think you're appreciated. But what people don't realize, unless they actually stop, sit back, look at a timeline and think about it, you were involved in so many pivotal moments, just like that even just you guys saying it was like, oh yeah, that was the springboard for Daniel Bryan to then main event and win the title at WrestleMania and all of these things. That was the catalyst for that.
And arguably, if that doesn't happen, that opportunity doesn't open for him, arguably. And
so, that just speaks to the performer that you are. But also one thing that I don't think people realize is how many different types of matches. Like, I think back to ladder matches I've been involved in. You were in a lot of them. And on paper, that doesn't make sense. You think, okay, yeah, let's throw the giant in a ladder. But you have been in so many ladder matches, so many TLC matches, and it really does speak, and I'm not just blowing smoke here, because I think of this of you personally, but also as a performer. You're that utility player that they know. And like I said, going back to being the glue, one of those guys that is the glue of a show, of a company. You can do a TLC match, then you can hop in there with Rey Mysterio, then you can hop in there with Big Show and believably be opponent for him. And there's not many guys that can do that.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean,
there's not much to say to that, I guess, because I just basically set you up to put yourself over.
Yeah.
Adam, let me just say this: if you set me up the same way, I'll go on. I'll put myself over for 10, 15 minutes.
See, there's the difference.
Do that with Jay. Right. No, that's what we. I mean, I think that's what. I've just always done and tried to do what I thought was best. Steal the line from the authority, but best for business. Seriously, because the business has been very good to me, and that's just what I think that all of us that are true professionals try to do. In the end, is whatever situation you're in, you just do the best you can. And I always say that people paid really good money to watch us perform, so we owe it to them to get their money's worth and give them the best performance that we can. I've been fortunate. It's funny because when I look back over my life, my career, really, and I said earlier that I choose to be in WWE. one of the things that I think is everybody has a gift that is inside them, that all they need to do is figure out what that gift is, and that's how you become great at something. And this was one of my gifts. It's a unique skill set, being a professional wrestler and WWE superstar, but nevertheless, it's just something that I was blessed to be able to do. And I hope that over the years people have gotten entertainment and enjoyment out of that. And I tell you guys, one of the greatest things ever is, and you guys know this because you get it all the time too, is when someone comes up to you and says they've been watching you for years and want to shake your hand and thank you for giving them years of entertainment. And of course, because I'm always like, well, without you guys, where would I be?
Here's a funny story, actually. Sorry, finish. Go ahead, again. Sorry, cut you off.
No. I mean, but yeah, it's just something I've been, just been fortunate enough to be able to do.
Well, here's a funny story. I was at the playground with my daughter, who's 3, literally last Friday. So it was like 5 days ago, and I have her on the swing. I'm pushing her on the swing, and this lady is beside me with her son, and he's on the swing, and we just small talk between parents at the playground, and she said the boy's name. She called him. She said, Kane, and she sings him, and I was like, oh, that's a cool name. And she goes, yeah. She goes, and then we just talked more, and she asked me what my daughter's name was. I told her, and we just kind of got talking about names. She goes, yeah, she goes, I was just a big WWE fan, and I named him after the wrestler Kane. Do you know him? And I went, yeah, I know who he is. She goes, oh, okay, cool. And I said, all right, see you later. I walked away, and I said, that's funny. It just, yeah. So
it's awesome, weird, man, and it's cool.
Yeah, when you start to see it now, kind of bleed into the next generation, right? Because I'll have, an autograph session or something. A dad will come up, and you see their kids with them, and they know who you are because mom and dad have showed them, whether it's through the network or however it is, probably the network. And they've caught them up on it. Beth has a Facebook friend, and her sister, her son's a big wrestling fan, I guess, and she posted this picture of her son, and he was dressed up as me, and he's probably 6 years old. So her best friend went, wait a minute, I think one of my good friends is married to him. so we can probably get you an autograph or an action figure or something. It's just so surreal to me to see these young folks that are, being introduced to all of this through their parents and grandparents. And I guess that's always been the case, but it's still kind of mind-blowing to see it. And you realize that, we were really lucky.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I think you hit it the nail on the head. A lot of people were very skeptical about the network when it was launched. I myself was like, why are they putting all of the pay-per-views on the network? Mm-hmm. Because that's such an enormous revenue stream. Why don't you just have some of the, essentially the smaller pay-per-views, for lack of a better term, but keep the big four off of the network, so you don't lose that revenue stream altogether, right? But that network was ingenious and is another thing that has revolutionized our business. Mm-hmm. Because my favorite thing on the network is the archives. Yeah. I lived in Missouri, rural Missouri, and if the wind was blowing right on Saturday night, I get to see All-Star Wrestling out of Kansas City. And then once a month, I'd go down to my grandma's and watch wrestling at the Chase, which was the show, but only about once a month or so, right?
Yeah.
I'd heard about like the Funks and the Von Erichs and the Freebirds. I got to see Ric Flair maybe once on TV, right? But I heard all this stuff about Flair, about Rock and Roll Express, all these other guys. But I never really got to see it because I was just in a different part of the country, and we didn't have cable TV. We lived out in the middle of nowhere. So then to be able to see all that stuff now on the network is just I feel like a kid again, I get to see the stuff that I'd heard so much about. And then also I think it really, like with the Attitude Era, it's breathed new life into that because, all these people hear about the Attitude Era, and then they actually get to go watch it on the network, which wasn't really possible before except with, the occasional DVD here and there. So, it really, again, that was a brilliant maneuver by WWE, and really has just changed the nature of the whole deal at this point.
It's interesting. I remember Vince saying a quote that I thought was really interesting, is he doesn't want to be ahead of the curve. He wants to be just behind it. So you can see what works, what doesn't, and pick up the pieces kind of thing. And on this, I think that is exactly what happened, because pay-per-view now is it's becoming, a bygone era. And just like closed circuit was before that, this is the way of the future. And I think Netflix kind of, helped everyone to see that. But you were talking about the performers that you saw as a kid, and who were the wrestlers that you grew up watching? We all have them. Who were the ones for you that went, okay, this makes me want to do this?
So when I was little, it was Bulldog Bob Brown from Winnipeg.
Wow, yeah. 30 years in the business.
Ray Candy.
Nice.
Ray Candy.
Ray Candy. Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Bruiser Bob Sweetan.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Then watching Kansas City, Harley Race actually later would become part owner of that territory. It was owned by Bob Geigel, and then Harley would take part of it over, and unfortunately it went out of business not too long, I believe, after Harley took it over. But those were the main guys that I remember from being a little kid. And then, of course, as I would start to get older, Ricky Steamboat was just greatest baby face, in my opinion, of all time.
Yeah.
We're talking about a pure baby face, just amazing. Flair. I always liked the big guys too, like Sid, Vicious, the Road Warriors. I mean, the Road Warriors versus Doom to me was like it, right? Because these four guys that were just monstrous human beings. And I was a big Road Warriors fan, big Legion of Doom fan. And then, of course, I tell you, when I was what really made the irrevocable decision to get into the wrestling business was I went to a show at the Checkerdome in St. Louis, which is no longer there.
Checkerdome,
that's where WWE performed, and saw Hulk Hogan live. And when he comes out, 10,000 people just lost their mind. And I was like, well, that's about the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. So that was, and I think that's probably the case for a lot of us, actually.
Yeah, Hogan for me was definitely he was the touchstone for sure. And then from him, that's when it was, like you said, Steamboat and guys like that. And to your point about Steamboat, I think him and Ricky Morton are probably, it seems to be within the business a unanimous, like, okay, those are your template for a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rey Mysterio later.
Smoky Mountain. Yeah, and Ray, when I was and a guy that doesn't get as much attention because unfortunately he never had that much success as those guys did, as Brad Armstrong.
Oh, Brad was great.
When you're looking at, if you watch but this is the guy that you watch, that's him. But later when I would get into Smoky Mountain Wrestling, I spent a lot of time with Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, but had some singles matches with Ricky, and he was one of those guys. It was great, man. Basically, Ricky would do the whole match because you'd hit him and he'd go down, and he'd get up and you'd hit him again, and he just had that ability, that connection with the audience, that they would just buy into it. And finally, when it was time for him to, start hitting you, the table was set, and it was just so easy with a guy like that.
Well, and I think Robert gets shortchanged sometimes too. It's just because he could sell and he was an amazing baby face. It just ends up, that Ricky was that guy, and Robert probably, blew a better comeback. So go with your strengths.
Yeah, exactly. But the great thing is you do have, to. If you look at look at the NWA tag teams, and that's where you'd see it always. Like when you watch the Four Horsemen against the Rock and Roll Express, and you just see all this stuff going on, and then of course finally, we'd get the one guy down, and finally the other guy would get in, and you have you'd have two guys. You didn't have a weak link, I guess, is what I was trying to say. When you would have guys like the Rock and Roll Express, guys like the Andersons, and tag teams of that caliber.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun time, to be a wrestling fan, and I think there's a reason that there's shows and entertainment now. Like you see Tosh.0 always mentioning Arn Anderson randomly, but there's a reason because those performers made a connection with us that there's closet and uncloseted wrestling fans everywhere. It kind of touches all fabrics of society. It's and to our earlier point, I think guys breaking out and doing different things, and women too, breaking out and doing different things. I think now that the painting of wrestling is just going to get further and further.
And actually, when you talk about the women, and that's probably the biggest change that I've seen in our business since I've been there, is the fact now that you have these women who are incredible athletes and incredible performers, and they can headline pay-per-views. Yeah. And I remember at WrestleMania before last, when they had the three-way match with Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky Lynch, that might have been the best match on the show, at WrestleMania. As far as just watching technically sound match and a great performance athletically, and you're going, 15 years ago, that just wouldn't have been the case. And I think part of it was probably because the women weren't given the opportunities that they have now. Yeah. But nevertheless, my hat is really off to, I always call them the girls because, it's what I'm used to calling them. But nevertheless, my hat's off to just how extraordinary the current crop of female athletes in WWE is, and then of course Adam with Beth and Amy and Trish and all those guys. They certainly paved the road for that. But it is just amazing, and I think refreshing to see that. And like I said, I can't say enough about how proud I am of the company and how proud I am of the women wrestlers. I think they're amazing.
That's been a breath of fresh air, and I know, obviously being married to Beth, I know she's, watching it, and I can tell part of her was chomping at the bit, like, I just wish that, we were in that pocket. But I always tell her, it's like you guys, you gals and everyone, before, starting with Moolah, laid the groundwork for these women to be able to have this platform now. And I think it's just great that the company finally saw it and went, okay, we have a moneymaker here, and this is a viable moneymaker for our show and diversifies the show. To your point, I think it's great. When people criticize WWE,
as far as whatever, it's great now because these women are empowering figures, right? And you see young women now who want to become WWE superstars because of the strong women that they see on TV. And frankly, from a societal standpoint, I think that's awesome, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and another thing too, this wasn't handed to them either, right? There's the opportunities there, make the most of it, and kudos to all of them because they did. And they made people stand up and take notice and realize, they could main event, like you said, pay-per-views and steal the show with their matches with what they're doing now, and it's amazing to watch.
And I think it's great because on the roster you have someone like Sasha Banks, and then you have someone like Nia Jax, who, to me, Nia is they could build the entire division around her. I'm a big fan of her. And I think, again, that just speaks to how diversified it is. And because she's like the Kane of the division. And Sasha is like the Rey Mysterio, and those are just the things you relate it to, just, coming from the past. But it's so great that going forward, how many girls are going to be influenced like Bayley was, who now comes in is probably the most popular, one of the most popular on the entire roster, let alone in the women's division.
Right. The thing, though, it's hard. It's actually, from the perspective as being a competitor and a performer in WWE, there's sort of a part of me that went, oh man, now all of a sudden there's a lot more competition because not only do you have to compete with these guys for airtime, but look at what the women are doing. So
they're
really
way more flexible than us.
Yeah, it raised the bar for the entire company. It really did.
That's great.
Now, earlier we talked about how wrestling and being with WWE was kind of like entertainment boot camp, but I think you go further and say it's kind of life boot camp and what it can prepare you for after your career. And not to say that your career is done or anything, but now you are segueing into politics and running for mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. We got to speak about that a little bit, because that's for people, unaware that you're very political, you're a very intelligent guy, which I'm sure they've already gleaned from this conversation. But fill us in a little bit on this.
So, I'm running for mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Knox County, of course, is home to Knoxville as well as the surrounding area. We have about 450,000 people in the county. Just approved the budget the other day, and it's about $800 million. It's certainly no small venture by any stretch of the imagination. One of the great things about the opportunities that WWE provides is, going out in the community and being able to do things, get to know people, and work with organizations, community organizations. And I've gotten to the point to where I don't like the term giving back, because the most rewarding thing that I do is that, and is being able to help people in some form or fashion. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be able to do that, of course, if I wasn't in WWE. It gives us a great platform to be able to go out and do some of that stuff. And that's really, it's when people ask me, why would I want to, get into politics and, do that sort of thing? That's a question that seems to me, obvious on the surface. Is why I just want to make a difference. I want to try to make my community the best that I can be, and by that I mean I want to, I'm a very small government guy. I want to get the government out of the way so that the people can do what they do best, and that's build a great community. And that's the reason for it. Is it's as simple as that. But yeah, it's a big venture of mine. I'm really excited about it.
I've known for obviously from riding with you and being friends with you for a long time that you've always been interested in politics and did a lot of reading and listened to a lot of like talk radio and podcasts and things like that. And what was it that made now the right time for you to do this for your community?
Well, there are a number of factors. The current mayor of Knox County, I think, has done a really good job. He's kept taxes low. We have a business-friendly environment here. I think both those things are very important. He's term limited, so he won't run again. And I would like to see the things that he's done in those respects continue. With low taxes, with making sure that we are a business-friendly community that can attract businesses, that the businesses that are already here have the tools which they need to survive and to thrive. So that's one thing. And also you just look at, for me personally, I'm just looking at the arc of my life, frankly, and this is the time to do it. It is a big decision. It involves not only me, but also my family. One thing that a lot of people, when they take this step, of course, they're not used to public life. And I am, and my family is. So in that respect, it's probably a little easier to make that decision than it would be for some other people, because we already know what it's like to be, always out there, and always having people saying things, whether it's positive or negative. But yeah, just for me personally, and also for the community, I felt like it was the right time for me to take the plunge.
That's great. And, it is interesting, like you said, being in the public eye, it does force you to build the thick skin, because there is always going to be those that agree and those don't agree, And, but it's very gutsy, and I really appreciate the courage that it takes to do what you're doing, because I know I wouldn't be able to. I know I'd be like, oh man, I'm out of my depth here, but you aren't. That's the beautiful thing about Glenn Jacobs, is that I fully, if I lived in Knox County, I'm voting for you.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And again, it is just about a great community. One of the things that I would like to see is, I think that we rely on government way too much, and that weakens us as a society. We turn to government to solve all of our problems, and that causes dissension, and it really causes us to splinter and become factions. And what I'd like to try to do is we're going to call it the Mayor's Roundtable, is to get leaders, community leaders from all different parts of our county together to work together on problems in their specific communities. And hopefully what we'll see the people that actually know what the problems are, because I think way too often you have politicians that think they know what the problems are.
Yeah.
They don't know what the problems really are. So you get the people that know what the problems really are together with the people that have the resources to actually help. And I think what they're going to produce is just going to be really inspirational and ingenious. And then also, I think the government has to be transparent. We had a situation in Knox County about 10 years ago that was very unfortunate. It's called Black Wednesday. And essentially what happened was the elected officials had been voted term limit. The voters had voted for term limits for elected officials. The elected officials just ignored them and then ran again. And then a judge said, well, you can't do that. And then they just appointed people, and it was just an absolute mess. And it actually made the New York Times, as a very not great piece about our county. Luckily, we've turned that around, and I think the county has made great strides in being transparent and making sure that people know what goes on, how their money is spent, all those sort of things. That's vitally important, and that's something else that I really look forward to not only continuing but hopefully expanding as much as possible. And now, especially with things like social media, it really makes it easier to really allow people to know what's going on in government. In fact, I think there's no excuse anymore for a politician to say, well, they shouldn't know that, or they can't know that, or I tried. We have all these things like Facebook and Twitter and websites now, and it's pretty easy for people, to actually be able to go there and understand what's going on with their government, and also be encouraged to participate as much as possible.
And that's the key too, right? Because I know a lot of people probably think, well, I can't make a difference. No matter what I do, my voice isn't really heard. Does my vote count? All of these things. But I really like the idea of the Mayor's Roundtable, and that you have people that are elbow deep into the problems or helping decide how we can fix those problems, and sitting down and reporting to you and actually coming together to try and come up with a solution. That to me is a great idea, because I think the everyman or the every woman has that mentality of, okay, well, what can I do? Well, that to me seems like a very real, tangible thing that you can do to make a difference.
Yeah, I think what does happen is sometimes people say, well, that's, they see a problem, and instead of saying, hey, what can I do to help? I pay taxes, the government should fix that.
Yeah.
And I think that really does drive us apart as a society, because, to me, we have a responsibility to take care of one another. I'm not saying that legally the government should take our money and give it to other people, but I think morally, when we see other people are in a situation that we can help, frankly, if we're in a situation and we're, need some help, it would be great if other people would step up and do that, right? And I think that most people would feel, they would, we have empathy for one another, and we feel like, I would help someone if they're in that situation. But when the government steps in and says, we'll solve it, and the government doesn't generally solve it very well, it just ends up wasting a lot of money. But I think that's one of the problems. And, hopefully if we can get people to come together and say, hey, let's solve this together, as society, and not talk about, we're going to take money from this person and give it to that person or whatever. I think that's a much better way of going about actually solving the problem than, doing it the way that's frankly wasted, a lot of taxpayer dollars and not solved much.
I think it's important that people, that they know that their voice is being heard too, right? Like a lot of times they're told in a campaign or whatever, we hear you, and then things change once somebody gets elected. But I think that people really do want their voice to be heard, and I think that's important. And I think that I hear that with what you're saying.
Yeah, and the past presidential election was evidence of that. I mean, people are fed up. With politicians telling them one thing and they're going to do this and do that and then turning around doing something else. And I'm actually just shocked that it took that long, because I feel that way a lot as well. So yeah, it is very important. I mean, the people own the government, and the government should work for the people, not the other way around. And I think far too often it feels like it's the other way around.
Now, I know the election is actually next year, correct?
Yes, sir.
But what can we do in the meantime? What can we, as let's say it's the wrestling audience, or even just anyone outside of that's listening to this? What can we do to help support heading into next year?
Well, we're doing something pretty cool over the next 30 days. We would like to raise $30,000 for the campaign, and at the end of that 30-day time period, we will randomly select a donor from that time period who will be invited to appear in a television commercial with me, and I have an idea of the commercial I'd like to do, and I think they'd really enjoy it. So that would be one thing that would be really great.
Nice, and that's open to like Zimbabwe to
Actually,
Hawaii.
you know what? I'm sorry. I'm glad you said that, because there is some legal deals.
Okay.
No, you have to be a citizen of the U.S. and 18 years of age or older.
Okay.
To be able to make a contribution, and also you don't have to live in my area, but if you don't, you'll be responsible for your own travel expenses and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Cool. Well, man, it's exciting. It really is. I mean, I've known you for years, and for those that don't know, Glenn is my closest wrestling neighbor, even though we're like 2 hours and a bunch of mountains apart. I always say I'll send up the smoke signals to get you to come over. But right. I'll definitely I'll be over before the election. To just see and shoot the poo, but outside of doing it on a podcast, although that's what this felt like. This was very cool. It didn't feel like an interview to me.
No, it's just getting together and talking, and I really appreciate it, guys. It's it's fun, especially with. I mean, we've been through a lot together, frankly, both good and bad. But I would say in the end, more good than bad. And it's nice to be able to reminisce and hopefully give the folks out there that are interested, give them something to think about, and see some of the stuff that actually goes on behind the scenes in a positive way. And I think that often, a lot of these things devolve into negativity, and I don't really. That's why I don't do a lot of this stuff, is because I got enough things that I can moan and complain about. So it's great to hear the positive stuff that goes on, because most of it, frankly, is positive and is good stuff.
Like my working bunch.
No, not like that.
Yeah, I mean, we all made a living playing superheroes, for the world to see.
Much, right?
That's not a bad thing.
No.
Yeah, so it's nice to peel back the curtain a little bit for people to be able to see, especially with a guy like you, with your character, to see the person behind that character and see the human being behind the person that has pulled all of this off for so many years. I'm sure it's got to be pretty enlightening to people, let alone what you're doing now and the difference that you're trying to make in your community. So it's huge, and thanks for doing it. It's been very, very cool to have you on here.
I appreciate you guys. Can we not have Jay the next time, though?
It may be better without him. I'm trying to lobby to get him kicked off the show, even though he's an executive producer.
Glenn, what happens a lot of times is they just mute out a lot of my stuff. So 3/4 of my audio will not make the show. Trust me.
All right. Well, hey guys, I really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it, buddy.
Good talk to you, man.
All right. Thanks. Take care.
That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that, and I hope that people who didn't already know how intelligent a man that Glenn is, that will be very very enlightening as to the person and the man that Glenn Jacobs is, and it's just fun to sit there and go through all of those years, because you forget how long we've all known each other.
I know. The thing is, I mean, he's such like a funny guy too, right? Like, I mean, he's
very dry, funny.
And I remember, like, and he's such like he's such a humble, like, good person. Like, I remember, and you know, the things that we do to him, I would do just because his reactions were super funny, right? Like other than him throwing a chair at me, trying to kill me. But I mean, like, I remember this one time we were sitting in Puerto Rico before a live event, and Glenn being Glenn, I'm sitting there watching the matches at the monitor, and he sits down beside me, and he had bought a bag of Doritos out of the vending machine, and he sits down and he's like, "You want one?" And he, like, just being nice and sharing his chips with me, and I look at him, and I crushed his chips, and instead of like getting mad, he just looked at me all defeated, and he looks at me all serious, like, "Why would you do that?" Like, you know, just, and I was like, I don't know.
There's not a part of him that is that mean, callous person that you are. He's not. His soul isn't stained black like yours.
I know.
And you know what's funny about all of that is I wasn't on that show, but I got a text from him saying Jay's such a dick. So I would always get the report when you would do something mean to him.
Yeah.
You are so lucky he didn't tear your head off over the years, but he's just not that guy.
And then things like that happen to him all the time too, right? Like, I remember this one time we were driving together, and we pull into this town, and we walk up, and I remember there was like one of those like no-name type hotels, 3:00 in the morning, super tired, just want to go to bed. And, you know, he writes his, you know, you have to write your name down and your information down on the sheet to give to the guy at the front desk. So he writes his thing down, and he goes, the guy looks at it and goes, "Oh, your name is Grum?" And I don't know how he got that from Glenn. You know, Glenn with two N's. I don't know if the N's look like an M or something, but he's like, "Oh, your name is Grum." And then Glenn looks at him like with that kind of straight face and goes, "Yeah, my name is Grum." And then we all like laughed. It was like me and Dolph, and I think Zach Ryder was there, and we started calling him Grum after that. Now, like, it was a name that stuck with him for a long time. And this day we still kind of call him Grum because of that, but he even refers to himself as Grum, which is hilarious.
Yeah, if he's feeling grumpy, it's Grum.
Yeah, it's Grum. But he's such a good guy, man. Like, honestly, one of the best human beings I've ever met in my life. Just a good person.
And one of those guys, like, I can't wait for his Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah.
Just for people to, I don't know, just remember everything that he did, was involved in, what he did, like we touched upon, give to the industry and try to help, talents along, and just all the things that he was involved in.
He's done so much. I feel like we only kind of scratched the surface. Like, just thinking about it now, like we didn't even talk to him about the Pete Rose stuff that he did, which is like legendary stuff too, right? Which is hilarious. And then I remember when he inducted Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame, which was super hilarious. Like, he was so funny when during that speech. He's just such a well-rounded performer, person. So yeah, man, I'm happy for all of his success, and he's going to be an amazing representative of his community if he does in fact get elected. So
yeah, and just some of his ideas that he briefly touched upon with us, I don't know, it sounds very grassroots, which I think which will be important. He's an interesting guy, he's a fun guy, he's one of the very few people that I can truly say became a close friend, and even after leaving the industry in terms of competing, has remained a close friend. So, and he doesn't do a lot of these, so that was very cool.
Very cool.
That he was willing to hop on here and listen to, us two idiots.
Try to sound like we're as smart as him.
Yeah, and it failed miserably. It's like his bar is getting. Did you see that kid? By the way, just a little tangent here. Some high school kid broke the pole vaulting record, and it's like 19 something or other feet. That's what it felt like talking. Yeah, the world record at like a high school.
He broke my record.
Your record. You pole vaulted now too.
Well,
I thought it was triple jump.
I did triple jump too a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that's another story for another podcast. Yeah. But so that's what it felt like talking to Glenn. Glenn is the kid that's doing the 19 plus feet, and we're hopscotching.
Yeah.
Jumping the numbers down below, looking up, going, "Whoa, he's pretty smart."
He's doing something to help the world, his community, his country a better place, and we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
Vote Grum.
Like to thank our sponsor this week, Sunbasket. I've been chowing down on that food, so I'm very happy with Sunbasket. What?
How awesome is Sunbasket? I mean, it's super delicious. I mean, we get so excited when the box shows up because we just have them send us the random meals that we don't know that are coming, and open it up, and seriously, every single one is delicious, unbelievable, easy to prepare, so good. Sunbasket, thanks.
I had that Italian sausage one the other night, and
we had that last night.
I'm a huge sausage guy, and it's really friggin' good.
Yeah,
like really good.
We actually made that one last night. It was delicious.
Did you do the ground turkey one in the salad yet with cashews?
Did.
That one's good.
Did you do the salmon?
Yeah. And again, not a huge salmon guy, but really enjoyed it. And more importantly than that, Lyric actually ate salmon.
That's crazy.
Which never happens. So if that's not a vouch right there, I don't know what is. If you can get the 3-year-old eating salmon, you've done something.
They have so many options, but like the paleo one is the one I like. I think that's the one you guys like as well.
Yeah,
super delicious. Can't say enough.
We're paleo, bro. Because that's all into the CrossFit.
How do you get in touch with us, Bert, man?
Oh, I'm glad you asked there, Edgerooney. You can catch us on Twitter at E&C Pod, and of course our paid, our monthly subscription for our email, which is ecpodofawesomeness@gmail.com, and you can be reached at Twitter at EdgeRatedR and me at Christian4Peeps.
Wow, look at that. Yeah, and follow us on Facebook, all those good things.
Yeah. Download, rate, review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your gosh darn podcasts.
Gosh darn.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. I like it. We went PG this week.
We did.
And I kind of liked it.
Mm-hmm. Felt good not to swear.
Yeah,
I feel like I'd get you to swear at me. I feel like I'd get you to swear at me if we just had like 2 more minutes.
It would probably happen. I would want to do violent things to you. So we should probably, end this now.
We're out.
Here we go.